and I'll have to turn the volume off when it goes live.
Off here?
On the computer.
Why? Where's our volume coming from?
From Zoom.
Oh, okay. You know where my volume button is?
Yes. Okay, and
why? Where's our volume coming from? Okay. We are live and in a bit of a delay, so on our end. So hello, happy Easter everyone, and welcome to Rising Up with Jeryl Anne. I'm your host, Jeryl Anne, and this is all part of Spirituality Gone Wild. It's a family of programming that focuses on all things spiritual. So I'd like to welcome you to this week's show. I know everybody's kind of busy with the whole their Easter celebrations today, so I'm really grateful for those of you who are here and for those of you who are watching us on replay. So thank you all so much for joining us. I'm your host, of course, and I'm with, once again, Terry Angel. She's a medium, a psychic, developer of the healing modality Time Heals, happiness coach, and so many things it would take me the rest of the show to say all the things. So welcome, Terry.
Thank you, and thank you to all of you who are joining us today. It's an honor to be here with my darling friend, Jeryl Anne.
Oh, thank you. And today we have a new addition behind the scenes, my good friend and Terry's good friend, Sherry Seymour. Sherry will be our moderator today. She'll be monitoring all the comments. So if you have a question about today's show, she'll be moderating that and getting them to us. So if time permits, if we haven't answered your question in our discussion, we'll try to get to them. If not, we will come back and answer it in the comment section after the show. So with that in mind, I want to just say thank you, Sherry. I know you're getting to step outside your comfort zone just a little bit as well. So if you see someone handing us a piece of paper behind the scenes, that's Sherry. So thanks, Sherry, everybody, for being here. Now, because it's Easter, I thought that the timing would be perfect to talk about Ascension then and now. Those of you in the spiritual world, this is a pretty big topic, but it's one that there's a lot of confusion, a lot of information out there. So Terry is going to help us kind of navigate that information. And of course, we have the most famous Ascension story, and that is the Ascension of Jesus. And of course, today we celebrate that very Ascension. So with that in mind, Terry, let me turn it over to you to talk about Ascension then and now. And that sneezing you're hearing is little Brookie down below having a sneezing fit. So she's the healing dog that we have here. So
yes, she is.
Yeah.
And thank you, Jeryl Anne. So we wanted to discuss that, the Ascension then, because I feel that that's a lot of what causes some confusion when we say the word ascension as in our now experience. So what happened then was Jesus's ascension, which is documented and in so many places and by so many, and was witnessed actually by so many of his followers. So when people think of the word ascension, they think of what happened with Jesus, where he was crucified and he physically, everyone saw that he was dead, but then he rose again and he actually appeared to people after that ascension process. So when we go to that word and we use it today in our current lifetimes, some people are thinking, well, is that what we're going to do? Are we going to, is our physical body going to ascend? What are we talking about? So that, I think, is where some of the confusion comes in. And that's what we want to address today is just what we're talking about when we use that word ascension.
Mm-hmm. And just one brief bit of housekeeping I didn't do before. Please share this out to your friends and groups. We'd really like to get the word out of what's happening spiritually, and especially with Ascension, because this is affecting every single person on the planet. Whether you're walking a spiritual path or not, Ascension is affecting you. You don't have to be conscious of it, but it is affecting you. And you're going to see as the show goes on how it's affecting you. And it might give you some insight as to what's happening. I hear all the time from different ones, but that's a little later on in the show. Terry, what I would like to ask is, a lot of people are familiar with what they call the rapture.
Mm-hmm.
And what we would like to let you know is Ascension, what we are talking about is not the rapture. And can you go into that just for a little bit more in depth?
Right, it's totally different. What's happening is our whole planet actually is ascending. Individually, we're all going into a higher vibration, a higher frequency. And this is not woo-woo stuff. This is stuff that scientifically has been shown and documented. And in fact, just this last week, Jeryl Anne and I saw a graph of the frequency and the vibration that's happening with planet Earth, and how individually, when we raise our frequencies, or collectively we raise our frequencies, it does affect the Earth. So that's what we're talking about when we say ascension, as opposed to what many religious groups believe is a rapture that's going to happen, where, yes, their bodies, everything just goes. So it is a totally different thing that we're discussing.
Mm-hmm. And when people talk about ascension, they're talking about ascending from a third dimensional reality, which is what we are all sitting in right now, to a fifth dimensional reality. And before we even go any further, I want to clarify one thing. Dimensions are not places that we go to. It's not another planet. It's not like we're going to get in a ship and go somewhere to be in a fifth dimensional reality or anything of that nature. Dimensions are a state of consciousness, and we have been in a third dimensional state of consciousness for a very long time. I don't even think it's really that number as to how long has been bandied about forever. So what I would like Terry to do, because quite honestly, I've been on this path 30-some years, and I had a lot of confusion about, okay, how do we get from third to fifth, and what is the fourth, and do we just like blow by it, or what? What exactly is, Terry, third, fourth, and fifth dimension, and what does this all mean?
Okay. So we're going to wait just a minute until the background
We're
noise is done.
We're
Okay.
good.
All right. So to do this, I feel like we have to do some explaining. Like Lucy says, you got some explaining to do. So let's talk about what a dimension is.
Okay.
A dimension is a frequency. And there's a debate as to how many dimensions there are. I mean, scientists are still trying to figure this stuff out, guys. You know, they know that they exist. They do acknowledge that. Scientists are really catching up with where we've been for a while. But now they do acknowledge there are these dimensions. How many there are, we don't know. We know that specifically there are at least 12 dimensions. And there could be even like many, many more beyond that. But when we are living in a third dimension, now dimension is a way of organizing a plane of existence. It's that frequency that happens on that plane. So when you think about it, a one-dimensional plane would just be like a dot. 2 dimensions, you'd have 2 dots. You double it. 3 dimensions, again, you double it. So it's like every thing that's happening, that frequency, that vibration, it's expanded. And the expansion, we always say a higher dimension, it has nothing to do with going up. It's higher in vibration, higher in frequency. So it could be going out, it could be going up, it's just all there surrounding us. So that's what a dimension is. It's the frequency that we are emitting, our vibration that's going out. And each dimension has laws, has a set of laws, and how things happen in that dimension. Now let's look at what consciousness is, because you mentioned a dimension is that consciousness that we have in each of those levels. Consciousness is awareness. So being aware and being more aware of what's happening around us. And whoever is in a specific dimension, they're okay being there. They inhabit that dimension easily, with grace and ease. I mean, think about our 3D state. We don't fight the fact that we're physical and that we have laws in this dimension, like gravity. We know that if we jump off of the building, we're going to fall straight down.
Yeah.
So there's laws with each of these dimensions. We can also have what's called multi-dimensional consciousness. And this is what I love, and this is where we're going with Ascension. We can be in this 3D state. We are in this 3D dimension. Yes. We exist here. It's our physical. That's the 3D, is our physical. The fourth dimension, we can exist, and we do exist in the 3D and the 4D. Going back and forth into a 4D state. 4D is more being open to our spiritual self, being open to the fact that there's more than just this physical existence. It's becoming more aware of it. Some people call it the gateway or the bridge to the higher dimensions. So as a multidimensional being, we can move back and forth in the dimensions. Think of it as we're a house. Think of a house, and we are here in this part of the house in the 3D. We can go up some stairs, and there's the 4D, and it's really easy to move back and forth between the 4D and the 3D. Okay, we coexist in those two dimensions really easily. Now, getting to the fifth dimension is a little bit more difficult, but not impossible. And this is the process that we're moving into, is figuring out what part of that house we need to raise our level of awareness to be in that part of the house. So it's not like we are physically moving there, but I just use that house as an example so you can see the transition, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really easy to go up and down those stairs, and you're in 4D, you're in 3D. But going beyond that to the fifth dimension, this is where we lose the fact that we are 3D. So I want to just break it down for you. In 3D, it's the purely physical state. We're here, we're existing. Yes, we have a mind, a brain, we have all these organs that we have to take care of. We have to take care of the physical body, but we're seeing ourselves in the 3D as separate from everybody. I'm me, I'm Terry, you're Jeryl Anne. We're not merged together. We're seeing that separateness. Our focus is survival in the 3D. By whatever means that takes, we have to do what we have to do to survive. We see good versus bad. We see the contrast, the conflicts. We rely on our five senses in the 3D. When we move into the 4D, that gateway, it's awakening to who we are, awakening our consciousness into the oneness. This is like the beginning, where we're opening up and we're seeing the possibilities. We're seeing what really is, instead of just looking and saying, oh, this is all there is. Is there any more to this than just, getting up in the morning, feeding our bodies, going to work, going to bed at night, and doing it all over again? So in the 4D is when we actually come to realize, yes, there is more to this life than what meets the eye. Okay, so In the 4D, this is where time starts to shift.
Mhm.
In 3D, we're on a linear time. It's like it's just straight out. You know, it was 4 o'clock, those little seconds ticked off, and now it's 4:15.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
In 4D, time, what I call bends, so that, you know, you don't see it the same way. You know that there is movement, but you're not seeing straight ahead. You might see a result happen instantly, where in 3D, you're thinking, I have to wait for that. So it's like time is shortened, and it's just not the same as that 3D linear time. It's a different kind of time, and really it's not even time, but it's, we have to, our human brains have to put something to it, some word to it. You know how we like
Right.
to label, right?
Well, that's the 3D existence,
Yeah.
is labeling and having that linear time. You know, we're born on this day, we die on this day, and everything is increments in between. But then we start to shift out of 3D, and time, as you say, it just doesn't exist in the same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is where people start to get kind of hung up, because we're so used to everything being solid, black and white, and logic. The 3D world is very logical, but when you start to move into that fourth and then the fifth dimension, it doesn't fit with the 3D model that we've all been raised in. So it's okay. If you get confused, it's okay. We're going to be exploring this for weeks to come. There's lots and lots and lots to learn. So
yeah.
Okay.
And you know, just the fact that it's not logical anymore. A lot of people think, oh, you know, this can't be right. This must be my brain on drugs or something, you know, telling me something that's not real. So yeah, there's those experiences, because it is, you know, it's different than what we think of on our 3D plane. So then moving into 5D, and we're all doing it. We're all ascending. Nobody is left behind.
Right.
Nobody.
Right.
Now, whether you know it, whether you're aware of it, and yes, we have discovered people that haven't even heard about Ascension.
Right.
People that say, what are you talking about? And, you know, I'm so glad that we're doing the show, Jeryl Anne, because I know there are many people in that category that just don't know what it means. So moving into, again, it's a conscious awareness of moving into a fifth dimensional state. This is the true oneness. This is where we have unconditional love, and we realize that that 3D existence, although our physical bodies are still there, we no longer see that physical body as the end all. It's just a vessel, and we see no judgment, no longer do any contrasting stuff. You know, all of the racism, the hatred, the wars. We have no interest in any of that, because we understand what love is and what pure unconditional love is. So going back, as you can imagine, leaving that 5D state for any length of time to go back into the 3D reality is not an easy transition. It's like, you know, you're all of a sudden thumping back into your physical and having to deal, because we're in a physical existence. We have to deal with daily stuff. You know, we have to take care of the body. We have to deal with all of the things that's still going on in the 3D. But ascending into the 5D means we become more aware, we become more conscious of what we're all about and what love is all about.
And I think it's a state of balance. We start to go more and more. And like you said, we still have to pay our bills, okay? We're not going somewhere else.
Right.
We still get to live in this 3D world. And it will take some time for the entire planet. And a lot of people go, well, there's so much chaos. There's so much anger. There's so many wars. There's so many bad things going on, chaos, lots of chaos, that how can we ever possibly ascend into 5D? It's just, It's just not possible. And truly, your logical mind will tell you that. But let me use an analogy, if I may, is that when Jesus was here walking the planet, he healed the blind. He made the blind see. He raised the dead back to life. He healed the lame. He walked on water. Okay, our logical 3D mind says, well, that's just not happening. You know, am I hallucinating? And I'm sure those people who saw it at the time thought they were going crazy, you know? Mm-hmm. And so we really have to walk in faith a lot of times. And we're going to get into some of the symptoms in a bit. And there are times you really do think you're going crazy. But so we have to embrace and take a leap of faith that there is more beyond what we can see, what we can touch, what we can feel, you know, and that God, source, universal intelligence, what creator, whatever you wish to call that, there's a bigger picture, a much bigger picture. And this is part of the big picture. And, you know, I have seen things change. There was a time on this planet when there was complete segregation. Mm-hmm. There was a time on this planet when women couldn't vote. There was a time on this planet when we treated our animals as if they were just absolutely disposable. Consciousness was different back then. It was more of the denser expressions of a 3D reality. Looking back, we can look back through history and say, I'm sure 100 years ago, people would have never said that women could vote, or that blacks would have equal rights, or that women would have equal rights. And okay, I'm not going to get into the discussion of where those levels are. My point is this: we are evolving, we are changing, and this is the new part of our evolution. And we're all going whether we want to or not. And so the whole intent of this series, and we're going to kind of see how many shows, because there's so much to share. And if you're having any, what you think might be symptoms, and we're going to get into that here in a few, you know, let us know in the comments if there's any questions that you have so far. Do you have questions about what the dimensions are? Do you have any questions about what we've talked about so far?
Yeah, because it explains more.
Let us know. Let us know. So there are signs. There are signs that that you're kind of you're starting to live in a 5D reality. And this comes from an article by a lady by the name of Nikki Sapp. And it's dimensions are not places or locations, but levels of consciousness that vibrate at a certain rate. The higher we vibrate, the more dimensions we can consciously experience. And that's exactly what Terry was talking about. So one of the signs, if you're vibrating in a 5th dimensional consciousness, and you know, keep in mind, we're pretty much predominantly still in this 3rd dimensional reality with shifts between the 4th and 5th. So you can tell something has changed, but you just can't quite put your finger on it. Terry?
Yeah. Yes, and that has happened with me. You know, many times, you know, I'll look and I see something differently than I saw it before, or you know, a thought might come that's different, that has a different feel to it, a different flavor.
Yeah, how you view the world, how you view drama is a great example. You might see some people in a regular kind of turmoil, chaotic situation, And where you maybe in the past would have jumped right into it and gotten into the mud, wrestled around a little bit, you kind of go, no, don't think so. And you step back and you see it from a higher picture. Maybe somebody treats you really bad, cuts you off in traffic, maybe says something rude to you in the store. And instead of kind of getting really ticked off and responding in a like manner, you sit back and you go, wow, he must be having a really crummy day. Or, maybe they've been hurt. Maybe they're suffering in a way that I just can't see. And so you start to view all of your interactions differently.
With more compassion.
Much. Yeah, compassion is a key word. We're going to be talking about that a lot on this show. Compassion. Okay? You get the feeling that you have no choice anymore. A lot of us are feeling like that. I know I left broadcasting years ago because I really didn't want to go down that path. Well, it's really served me well because it's working out for me now. But we're in a job that just doesn't fulfill us, and it causes us more stress, and we just go, I can't do this anymore, because there's a part of you, whether it's conscious or unconscious, that just can't put your soul through that anymore. Terry?
Yeah, and you just want to be in the experience of the 5D. You want to be in that total love and compassion. So doing the 3D, everyday routine things, it just doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel good in the soul. And you're like, okay, I'm ready to just be there instead of, here doing these things.
Keep in mind, again, we got to pay our bills. We have to, we have to maintain this world. We're not out here going woo woo. Let's just all go out and play and float around the fourth and fifth dimension. There is reality that we have to deal with, but this is a transition. And so there are ways to make that easier. But these are things that are starting to happen as you're evolving. The reasons you have for why things happen are more spiritual in nature. Kind of like how I was saying about when, somebody is, you have a bad interaction or something.
Yeah.
So, and Terry, would you like to?
Yeah, because we understand more now when something is happening, and we don't take it personally anymore. We're like, okay, let me look at this, and looking at it with that mindset of coming from compassion and unconditional love, it just helps you not to go back into the old way as we would have before the ascension process, where everything is, again, the survival of the fittest. And, you're wanting my job, so I'm going to have that conflict with you. We're looking at it with different eyes, so to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. People seem a lot nicer wherever you go. Now, this may seem like a contradiction to a lot of people, but when you're walking a more spiritual path, you're looking for the best in people. And there may be a lot of out there, but you're looking for their higher self. You're looking to connect with their soul. And so if you're looking for the good, odds are you're going to find it.
Yeah, you're going to find it. And, about 4 years ago, I started happy hunting, where I would just go out, and if I saw somebody that needed their vibration raised, I would share a smile or the kind word or tell them to have a great day. And now I pass out gratitude cards.
Yes.
So yeah, it's like we're going to find what we look for, but also I think what we're seeing is that shift happening.
Yes.
And we're seeing more and more of the happy people, and the ones that are grateful, and the ones that hold the door open for you. It's beginning to turn around from the old way of, again, back to survival of the fittest. Open your own door.
Yeah, the world of competition and not cooperation.
Right.
And the other thing is, what we put out is what we attract. So if we're going out into the world and we're, spreading love and spreading a smile. I'll walk through the store and just smile at everybody. They must think, oh my gosh, and I'm 6'1" on top of it. So you see this woman who's 6'1" coming down the aisle with this big smile on her face, and it's like, hey, how you doing? It's a little on the scary side at times, I'm telling you. So
yeah, I better smile back at
her. Here's the other one. Life has been relentless with your healing process. Boy, can we relate to that.
Yes.
And still, in this very moment of time, I'm relating to that.
Yes.
Terry?
Yes, I did a blog today, and I shared it on Facebook called My Sojourn into Transformation. And, that healing process, it is happening with all of us, whether you're aware of it or not. There's healing taking place, and it's taking place because the frequency and the vibration of the planet is rising. So you're getting not only the healing from Mother Earth with that crystal activation down in the center of Mother Earth, but also all of those light workers who are waking up all over the planet and sending out that healing energy. So staying in that isness, just experiencing it, whatever is happening, and being okay with it. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Allowing it, being okay with whatever the outcome is. Don't have that expectation of an outcome for your experience. I want my healing and I want it now. Let's just allow it to play out the way it's going to play out, instead of fighting it and going against it, because that resistance is what keeps you where you are instead of moving forward.
One of the ways that I like to liken this as we're going, and this kind of leads us into our next segment, when you're going from a third dimensional existence into a fifth dimension, you can't take your third dimensional baggage with you into the fifth dimension, because third dimension is the dimension of contrast, love, fear, anger. They're the densers, feelings of unworthiness, feelings of anger, feelings of abandonment, all of those very real emotions that we've all experienced throughout our life. And so, but a fifth dimensional consciousness, those emotions don't exist. So however long it takes us, whether it's a year, a decades, or whatever, to transcend into that level of consciousness, we can't take those up there. So I liken it to this. If I have a bucket of kind of muddy water, that muddy water is the third dimension. There's dark, there's ickiness, there's just all that stuff, okay? When we are ascending, it's pure light, God's love, pure energy. So if that's going into that bucket of water, well, it has to be displaced. So it has to come up and out. And it doesn't just evaporate. It literally, if you see a bucket and you pour in fresh water into muddy water, it pours up and over and out of the bucket. So we get to experience those emotions as they're coming up and out. We get to come face to face. Before we were doing the show today, wow, did I have a meltdown. And it was all those fears that I hold within me. I'm not smart enough. I don't know this well enough. I'm not good enough. People won't like me. Those are very third dimensional emotions. And so as we're going through this ascension process, they're coming up. They're kind of a gift. I know it sounds weird, but it's a gift. It's a gift for us to go, oh, okay, I can't get to there with this in here. So I need to bring this up and out, and I need to deal with it. And God bless Terry. She's here We go back to Fort Lauderdale. I take her back to Fort Lauderdale tonight. Woohoo! But she was here to help me move through it. If you can get an Ascension buddy, because they'll help, talk you down. So that kind of brings me to our next part of this show is Ascension symptoms. Now, I want to be very clear on this. A lot of these symptoms are very physical, from flu-like symptoms. I mean, and we're going to get into it, but please, if you think we're not telling you that, okay, if you have the flu or if you're having heart palpitations or, kind of discomfort in the heart area, that it's just Ascension and don't seek medical care. It's Ascension symptoms. Please, like anything else, please, if you feel that whatever you're going through is extreme, please seek medical advice. We are not doctors. We're just sharing information that we've researched, that we've experienced ourselves, but please seek medical attention, whether it's a regular doctor, a homeopath, an acupuncturist, I don't care what it is. Now, I will preface this also with saying that my guest who will be on next week, she was relaying to me some of her clients, and I've heard of this quite frequently, that people have gone to their doctor and they've prescribed anti-anxiety medication, depression medication, and everything else, and they were actually going through and dealing with Ascension symptoms, and once they kind of got through that phase, then their symptoms went away and they got off the medication. I am not advocating going against doctor's advice. Again, I'm just saying that we're walking a fine line now. We're walking a line we've never walked before. So we're all trying to figure it out together. And that's really what this show is about, is figuring it out together.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of symptoms, and one of them is it's kind of like feeling like you're in a pressure cooker, just really intense energy. Terry, would you like to expand on that just a little bit?
Absolutely. And it seems like it comes in waves, because I think, Jeryl Anne, what would happen is if we all of a sudden were just like totally, immersed in that 5D energy, it would be so overwhelming for us. And that's what a lot of people are feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're talking about, that pressure cooker feeling is the overwhelm. So, you might get it in waves. You might relate it, okay, it's a full moon, it's this, this change in whatever is happening in the stars, but it's that wave of energy that's coming through. And I love to tell people, surf the wave.
Yeah.
Surf the wave. Don't fight it. Don't let it, go over top of you and drown you, but just surf that wave and have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. The more you can lighten your vibration, that wave of energy that's coming to you is just going to merge right in with your energy beautifully.
Yeah. Own it, because there is there's a balance that we all have to strike. So now there's a feeling of disorientation, and can I talk about this, not knowing where you are, a loss of a sense of place. And it can be disorienting, because the world as we know it just changes. You don't see things in the same way, so you do feel disoriented. You feel kind of lost at times, and again, all of these things are okay. Do go, it's not always comfortable, and kind of when you get to a certain point, then you can kind of have a little more fun with it there. But there are moments I wasn't having fun today. I wasn't having any fun at all, actually, far from it. But then I actually, once I got through the intensity of it, I was able to, regroup and find a different place and go, oh wow, thank you. Okay, that's one less thing I have to deal with, or whatever that part of it is we've worked on that. Here's another one, Terry, that I think this is one of the most common, is aches and pains throughout your body. And I woke up the other day with just a severe neck pain, and I haven't had aches and pains in my body for a while, and in your joints. And again, it's that intense energy that's coming into your body. And some people, oh, I've got arthritis, or I have this or that. It's actually the energy in your body. If you think about it, it's really trying to adjust to all of that. And
it's adjusting to it. And also it's your resistance is what's going to create that pain. You know, it totally is. The more you can, like I said, just allow it. You're not going to feel the pains and the aches or the other symptoms, at least to the extent that the people are who are fighting it and resisting it.
And part of it is too, if you're not aware of what's going on, it's hard to have, it's hard to allow it, because you're really living under the old medical model. I'm not bashing it. I'm just saying we're living under the old medical model of, if this is happening to my body, then it has to be arthritis, it has to be fibromyalgia, it has to be this.
We have to label it.
We have to label it. And so if you're not aware of what these ascension symptoms are, you don't necessarily know that you're going through it. So flu-like symptoms. Flu-like symptoms is another, and I'm sorry, but we're just going to have to be graphic about it, whether it's vomiting, whether it's diarrhea. Again, your body is adjusting to the frequency of the energy, and fevers, hot flashes, and it seems like the flu. And if you think about it, there is like an epidemic of flu, and people go, well, you know, I get over it, and then I get it again, and I get over it, and I get it again. Well, I think, you know, I know in some people's cases, it is about their body's going through the ascension process. So, okay. Waking at night between 2 and 4 a.m.
Oh, yes.
Not sleeping well. I'm going to let you take this one,
Oh, my
Terry.
gosh. That's been happening to me for years now, at least 4 or 5 years. Consistently waking up at 333 or 444, sometime in that time frame, and wide awake and saying, okay, why am I awake? What just happened to make me wake up? And, you know, the more I progressed spiritually, and I understood that that is a high time for us to receive the angelic messages, to receive the messages from source energy, and for these downloads of energy to come to us. So yeah, if that's happening to you, just say thank you.
And going along right along with that is intense dreams. A lot of people, I have dreams. Wow, I have been having some seriously intense dreams lately, and I've been kind of going through quite a shift. I just recently started the main part of the ascension process, and so dreams, intense dreams, is part of that, and releasing and bringing things up. The other thing with the sleep mode and everything is that fatigue. Nap. I mean, people really find themselves exceptionally tired, more so than usual. And even if your sleep isn't being interrupted at night, you find yourself in the middle of the day. And I'm not a nap person. I have never been a nap person. I have become a nap person because, your body is handling all of this energy that's coming in, and you're shifting and moving and growing, and it's really, it wears you out. So that I'm hearing a lot, hearing people say how exhausted they are, and I have felt that. That I can own up to and say, yeah, I do feel tired. I think I'm gonna go to bed now. Yeah. Terry's gone to bed every night early since she's been here. She's like, I never go to bed this early.
That's not me. Those of you who know me on Facebook know I'm usually, up late at night. And yeah, that's really knocked me out lately.
Yeah. One of the other things is seeing or hearing things. Maybe out of the corner of your eye, you see something, and what that's all about is the different dimensions, because the dimensions exist simultaneously within each other. And so you start to, you either see things, you hear things, your clairs, as we call them, also become way more developed. Your clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, all of them, all your clairs, they get more pronounced. And memory loss. There's a lot of people, short-term memory loss. That's affecting a lot of folks, isn't it?
Yeah, feeling scattered.
Yeah.
Not feeling as organized, or remembering where you put something, or why did I walk in here? What was I doing?
Yeah. It is not a senior moment.
No, it's not.
It's not a senior moment. Quit calling it that, please. Okay. Now this is one I like. Okay. Feeling out of body, and vertigo, and they kind of all go hand in hand. And I'm my guest started this Facebook page that I'm a member of, and somebody's gone, man, do you just kind of feel like you're dizzy and you're vertigo and you're out of your body? And I said, yeah, I used to pay a lot of money. I bought a lot of drugs to feel like that. I am clean. I have been clean and sober for a very long time, but I paid big bucks to have that feeling. So that's where my past experience has really held me in good stead, because quite honestly, you just kind of feel high as a kite. And it's not a bad thing, but you still have clarity of mind. That's what I like about it.
Exactly.
But there was a couple of days here in this last week that literally to stand up, I was just kind of like this. I mean, I felt like I was going to kind of fall over all the time. And it passed. It lasted for about 2 days. And I've been going through that where, for those of you who know the experience of getting high, it's very similar to that. It's really weird. And I kind of thought I was having a flashback, but no, it's Ascension. And so personally, I look at it as an upside, but a lot of people don't like that, okay? But yeah, so moving on. Sorry, I just get such a kick out of that one. I really do. Heightened sensitivities to your surroundings.
Yes, very much so. Things that normally wouldn't bother you, all of a sudden it's like you're hearing things that you didn't hear before. So everything, all of your senses are increasing. The 5 senses, smelling, seeing, you mentioned seeing things, but smelling smells. And a lot of times if there's ancestors in spirit and they're helping you with that ascension process, you might smell a familiar smell, a perfume or tobacco smoke or something along that line. So all the senses all of a sudden are increased. So of course you're going to be more sensitive to your surroundings.
Yeah, and here's the other thing that goes hand in hand with that is sensitivity to crowds. Going into crowds, going into stores, big department stores, and even in meetings at work. So you're going to be more aware of group energies. You're going to be more aware of people. I don't know about you, but when I go into a store, a big store, where a multi-big store, where there's every kind of thing under the sun in that store, there's a lot of people. And there are a lot of people who are walking through that store that, maybe they're having a bad day, maybe they just had a fight with their spouse, maybe the kids are acting up, who knows, maybe they got cut off. But again, folks, we're not separate. This is just a vessel that kind of not really even contains, but houses our soul. our energy goes out. They can't even measure. They can measure about 10, 12 feet. But when Sherry's sitting across the room over there, she can feel our energy because it goes out that far. And so when you're in these big crowds, as we ascend, we're much more sensitive to everyone else's energy around us. Now, on the flip side, it's really nice to be with people who are all yummy and lovey and of like mind. And that's the positive side of it. But kind of protect yourselves when you go out there. You know, be safe out there, okay? You don't feel like doing anything sometimes. You know, kind of you need a rest period to reboot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Do it.
Self-care.
Yes.
Yeah, self-care. And intolerance for lower vibrational 3D things. I don't watch the news anymore. I just can't do it. I don't add to that energy. Now, that doesn't mean I don't care. I pray every day for the planet. I pray every day when I hear of things going on. I specifically put prayers, but I don't want to add any negative energy to what's going on. So you find that it becomes difficult. It almost hurts physically to see the chaos, the atrocities, the just really bad stuff that can be happening out there. It hurts. It hurts your heart.
It does.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's kind of a sign, you know, that you're becoming more aware. Sometimes you have a loss of desire for food. And with that, because I know we're getting low on time here, what we eat, your body starts to wanting different foods, like higher vibrational foods. I know a lot of people who have been on this path for quite some time have gone full on vegetarian. Now, I'm not advocating any kind of food program, but I have found myself that I am transitioning from, it was a wonderful program, but a lot of red meat. And so I had to, it vibrates at it's a lower kind of vibrational density, and my body is vibrating at a higher rate. So there's a little bit of conflict. And so I'm finding that I'm having to go to a much more plant-based, and I'm transitioning. And again, be really kind to yourself, be gentle to yourself, because this is, man, Ascension is not for wussies. It's really not. And you have to find your way through it, and you have to be kind to yourself as you're moving through it, and do it at the pace you can do it at. Okay. So, but you know, that's goes on. A sudden disappearance of friends, activities, habits, job, and residences. Would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, and this is well, the sudden disappearance of, you know, the people that are no longer in sync. That's what I found. That was my first thing that I noticed, you know, was all of a sudden they weren't there anymore. They just kind of fell away, or I pulled away, whatever way it happened. We're going to take care of ourselves. You know, we're going to do that when we realize who we are and what we're all about. So going to a group with people that are gossiping all the time, that's no longer going to serve you in your spiritual path. So you're going to find yourself pulling away from that, or them pulling away from you. Maybe the job you're in is not something where, you know, it might be paying the bills, but you're looking at, okay, are there other options? Can I move into something where I do feel fulfilled, and I can, you know, kill two birds with one stone? You know, I can be happy and joyous and still pay my bills by what I'm doing in that job. So a lot of shifts, a lot of transitions are happening with people in that respect.
Now I'm going to kind of fly through some of these, because remember, we're going to be back next week and we're going to go more into detail, but we also want to give you the rest of some of these symptoms, but we also want to give you some things to do that will help you deal with all of this. there are certain things that you just can't do anymore. You know, whatever it is, it just doesn't feel right to you. It doesn't vibrate with you anymore. So, you know, don't judge it. Just allow yourself to make that shift. Experiencing emotional ups and downs. I mean, crying for no reason and weeping. We're releasing a lot. You know, like I said, remember that muddy water, you know, it's coming up and out. So it's okay. It's okay. I have friends that we're all going through this, and you know, you'll get a call and it's like, I don't know why this is happening, and I'm the same way. And it's just like, it's okay. I'll hold the space for you, and it's okay. Don't worry. It's okay. And let it out. Let it come up. You don't need to know where it's coming from. You don't need to know what's happening. Anxiety and panic. A lot of anxiety, a lot of panic. If you've got any core anxiety or panic issues, they're going to come up and out. And, you know, because your ego, and that's a whole nother show in and of itself, but it's not that we've got to have our ego to survive, but the role of the ego is changing in a spiritual world. And so it's going to panic. It's going to panic when we start to change it. Depression. A lot of people are experiencing depression, and they just don't understand why they're experiencing depression. Night sweats and hot flashes. There's a lot of that. Plans suddenly change midstream. Boom. You think you're going one way and you end up going another way. Just like, yeah. Sherry's over here shaking her head going, yeah. And, you know, also you may have created a situation that you think is your worst nightmare, with a lot of those aspects to it. But here's the thing. We are creating things, and as we are ascending, the universe is providing us with many, many opportunities for us to bring up and have in our face the very things we need to heal, the very things we need to transform, so that we can keep moving up and discovering those places in ourselves. Kids, this is a first. You know, so we're all in this together, and we're all learning at the same time. Some people are in different places on their path. I mean, you know, Kristen, who's coming next week, I said, you know, I'm not having the symptoms that everybody else seems to be having, at least not. And I said, am I ascending? She said, no, they've been preparing you. And now that I'm getting these energy downloads, it's like, whoa. I know the difference now. Trust me, you know, when you feel it, you'll know it. But there is also levels, and there's preparation. And she's going to get into that a little bit next week. So let's talk quickly. We just got a few minutes left. Terry, I want you to talk quickly about intention, and then we're going to give them some of these things here. Okay.
One of my favorite words. Yeah. I'll put it that way. Intention. I speak about this so much. We have choices, we have free will, and as such, we can set our intention, how our day is going to go, how our ascension experience is going to go. And our minds are very powerful. Our thoughts create our experience. Mm-hmm. Think about that. Our thoughts create our experience. So if our thought is, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sick, I'm going to have all of this stuff going on, maybe some of the stuff that Jeryl Anne mentioned, you're already going, yeah, I did that. Make your thought one of, I'm going to go through this with ease and grace. I'm going to accept it and allow it and be grateful for it. That's another ingredient to add to it. Mm-hmm. Add to your intention that gratitude. You have that migraine and you're pretty sure that that's what's going on with you. Be grateful for the migraine. All of a sudden, you're going to find it going away because you're not fighting it. You're not resisting it. You're allowing that experience, knowing that what you're going to come out of on the other side is so much easier and so much better for you.
And here's a few more tips, okay? Drink as much pure water as possible. Stay hydrated. Really, you know, that energy, you're burning off a lot of energy, so stay hydrated. Keep your body flexible and strong. Now, this is a caveat, because there's so much energy going on, how you do that is important. You may want to do yoga. You may want to do lightweight training. Stretching is really good. Be aware of your body, what your body can handle. A lot of people that are going through this have had to back off of some of their heavy training in the gym. Kristen, my guest next week, is one of those as well as I have. And it's just one of those things that temporarily we need to adjust, because we've got so much energy, it's really tough to handle. Breathe deep at every opportunity. Keep breathing deep. Choose acceptance over resentment. Every time, acceptance and allowance. Disconnect from the fear-mongering mass media, please. Disconnect. Don't add to the energy. Shift towards more of an organic, plant-based, maybe even a vegetarian diet. Keep a regular meditation practice and invest in your ongoing self-exploration to shift your emotional patterns. Do healing, self-care. Take care of yourself. Please take care of yourself. It is time that we listen to ourselves, especially women as well, because we're such caregivers and we feel like we have to take care of the world. And I think we have a question out there.
Yeah.
And,
oh, thank you.
Okay.
And Karen, as Karen Palmer says, self first is not selfish.
Right.
So take care of yourself. Be gentle
What
with
do we
yourself.
have here? Oh, John Fiore.
Hi, John Fiore. Says Terry, spot on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Intention, yes. Thank you, John.
Yes.
John's the reason the show's called Rising Up with Jeryl Anne. He predicted it like a couple of years ago. So I love you, John. Hello, sweetheart.
Love you.
Yes.
Hope you're doing well.
Yes. So next week, so keep those things in mind, okay? Next week, please join me again as we continue our exploration of Ascension and talk about the ways that we can navigate this together and hold each other up and hold a space for each other to go through it. We're strong in numbers. So it's here. Ascension is here. You know, what do? We just go through it. We have to. So my guest next week is going to be Kristen Davis. She's the co-founder of Intuitive Angel Messages Facebook group. She's a native of Canada, and she channels archangels and the ascended masters and all kinds of other people and entities on the other side. So I have to say, Kristen has helped me also on my ascension path, and she's one of the most gifted, phenomenal young women I have ever met. So she's
amazing.
Isn't she though? And she's got so much to share with us on this ascension path. So I love you. Happy Ascension. Happy Easter. Oh my gosh. Happy Easter. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And I hope to see you right here next week. Bye now.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
I love you, Jeryl Anne.
I love you, Terry.
Thank you for this. Bye, everybody.
Bye.